Hello everybody, we have another game with the white pieces against an 1800. This is our 100th episode, our final game of this speed run before we reset. So we open up with the bishop's opening. He responds knight f6, threatening our pawn. We play knight c3, defending our pawn. And now our last game is against the proper 1800, just the way I like it. I wouldn't have it any other way. So he develops his knight to c6. What does this threaten? It just puts a little control in the dark squares in the center. We're going to play d3. This opens up our bishop and prepares f4. Black goes a6. What does this threaten? He might be preparing to kick our bishop and then our knight. But we are going to allow that and play f4 immediately, trying to create some tension on the king side before he gets to do anything. And then we could put our knight on f3, castle short, and we have a very nice position. Black strikes in the center. With d5. What does this threaten? My stuff, my bishop. Drawback, the pawn hangs. But if you take... Does he have knight e4? You take the knight. He gives this check. Okay, it doesn't look like he has it, so I'm just going to take the free pawn. Unless I'm missing something. Yeah, I don't think he has it, so I think he just hung a pawn for no reason. It's weird that 1800 just hang pawns like that. Is he just realizing what he's done? Oh well. Okay, so he takes the knight. This opens this up, but that's not a problem. We simply take back with the bishop. Now we're up a pawn. We have ideas like this. We also have knight f3. We also have castles. We also have f5. Okay, so he goes bishop d6. What does this threaten? Threatens the pawn. Drawback. Undefends this square. It's a little bit passive. I don't want to take and open up his pieces. So I'm just going to push past. And this closes down his bishop as well. So now these three minor pieces are just very weird. And now I can just do freely what I want on the other side of the board. All the while up a pawn. Two pieces in the center out of the four. He goes g6. What does this threaten? To break down my pawn chain. What are the drawbacks? He weakens the dark squares around, I would say, his king, but he probably won't castle there. We could just reinforce it with g4. Taking doesn't look like it accomplishes anything, and if he takes, we kind of want to... Yeah, I'm just going to do it. This allows him to give this check, but I'm going to move my king. But where do I want to move it? Do I want to move it to f1? I think so. Yeah, this is what I had intended, so let's do it. I mean, his queen may look scary, but there's no other pieces with it, so it's a bit weird. I'm not sure what he intends to do next. Okay, so he just goes bishop d7, very simply develops, prepares long castle. That's fine. It makes sense. If we go here, we hang the pawn. We could just develop our bishop simply. We could bring our queen in to go here. If we go here, it opens this up for a turn, but then queen in. Because if I go here and he doesn't address it, and I go here, and then he tries to come in. Now that's also cumbersome. Seems ridiculous. I think I'm just going to put my bishop here. Nice and simple. I can always retreat to kick the queen. Beautiful square. Developing move. Again, we can't do this because it hangs the pawn. Black castle's queen side threatens nothing. Drawback is it hangs this pawn. Although that pawn is opposite our king. If we kick his queen and his queen goes back, is there a point? All that allows us to develop our knight. That's something. Let's just say he goes here. Well, we can kick it further. Let's kick his queen and see where he goes. This allows us to develop our knight if he doesn't touch this pawn. I mean, we can go c3 and b4 and prepare an attack on his king, but we don't want to get attacked on our side of the board over here, so we have to be careful. So he goes here, doesn't threaten anything. It has this weird alignment, which is something. Takes, no problem. So what do we need to do? We need to develop. So let's just make the most natural move in the position. Bring this knight out. Now if we push and he moves his queen somewhere and we push again and he moves back, it does open up the light square bishop, but it does kind of block these pawns. If he tries to break it down, I can cement it. So that he can open up the H file, I guess, if I do that. Okay, so he takes. Okay, so I could take with either pawn maybe. This is the natural one. Is this anything? Let's say, does pushing do anything? I don't think so, so let's just take. We take, his bishop is still blocked. He now can't challenge this with a pawn, so this is permanent. He also can't challenge this one. So if he wanted to challenge this strong chain, he would have to challenge this pawn like this, which, I mean, not anytime soon, right? He goes here, which tries to cover the long diagonal. I'm going to contest that because I want control of the dark squares. I also want to develop my queen. I'm also up a pawn, so I welcome queen trades. And if he takes and I take, I can reroute my knight, maybe. Okay, he doesn't want to trade. He gives me this check, but it double hits the knight. So I have to go here. This connects my rooks, completes development. Looks a little funny, but his bishop doesn't have access, nor does anything else, except the rook here, but I can contest that easily. I'm covering this square 4 times. This is a thing, although it gives him check, so I need a rook on the g file. I'm thinking this rook. I'm not going to attack his king because clearly the way my pawns are pointing and the way the open file is, we have to attack according to this. He goes here, which pins the knight. Okay, pins the knight, but drawback is I can chase his queen like this, the knight defends the queen if he takes. And I let him do this, which is a check, and hits the knight, but I can take the knight, right? Hold on, am I blundering something? I take a piece, and what's the problem? I'm confused. Don't I just win stuff, more stuff? For a second, it looks like you blundered, but there was a bishop here. If that bishop wasn't there, big problems, but the bishop was there. I had even highlighted this move when I was speaking earlier, like on that turn. But it didn't work, so it's a good try, but if he takes the bishop, he loses the queen. So he has to take the queen, right? But now if he takes his piece back, he loses the fork. And it creates a passer, so it's just the game over. Mr. Swift has lost quite swiftly in the opening, early middle game. 19 moves. We take out the 1800 in our final game. Let's look at it very quickly. See what giant blunders. Okay, so we play a 4. Yeah, and he does this, and this is sometimes a move when after you take, there's this weird knight e4 tactic with queen h4, but it doesn't work here. So we just take the pawn. And then he takes our knight, which doesn't make sense. He should just leave it there and continue developing. But he takes it, losing one of his developed pieces. Now we're just up a pawn. He puts his bishop here, which is really bad because I just pushed past and now it's just an ugly piece. And I'm already plus 1.5. Makes sense. He goes here. How does the computer like to deal with this? They don't even care. So if I just develop and he takes me, because I have coordination square on here and here. So something like knight g5, rook f8. Yeah, you just have too much on the light squares if he takes you. So you just don't care. Interesting. Okay. So I go here. He goes here. I purposely let him do this check so I can move my king. And they want him to follow it up with h5. Because you can't support it with h3. Because your rook is pinned. So after h5, yeah. I guess this is unnecessary. So g4. In the future, don't do it in this specific position. That makes sense. Okay, so I go here, and I'm fine. And he castles, and I'm fine. I bring it back, I'm fine. I develop my knight, I'm fine. He takes the pawn, it's fine. He goes over. h4. Creates a point for the knight. That's cute. Okay, so what did I do? Oh yeah, I just challenged the queen because I'm up a pawn. He gave me this check. Oh, they have a sack. Okay, it's not good, but it's, I guess, their best try. Bishop takes. Pawn takes. Bishop hits the queen. I check it. He takes this. What's the point of that? So there's no point in that. And then I trade queens and it's over. This doesn't help. It's just a blunder. Okay, so g4 strategically is not good. It did look weakening, and I knew I would have to move my king, but I wanted to try it anyway. Worked out in the end, practically speaking. Not so easy to take advantage of, I don't think. But still, having looked at it afterward, I would just play knight f3 because once he takes, there's just so many light square weaknesses that queen h5 also is a strong move. But yeah, it breaks down your center, so that was a little tricky. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the 100 games of speedrun. We will start again. I'm going to delete this profile. We'll start again um, with a little different focus on the questioning, and we'll climb back up. I will see you then. Goodbye.